everyone, I'm in my sewing studio again today and I am going to show you how to make these really cool oven mitts. As you can see, it is one mitt joined together to make two mitts, or two pot holders as they call them in the US. And my inspiration for these mitts came because these are very popular in Australia, but when I got here I couldn't find any anywhere. You either had the little two square pot holder types, or you had the traditional ones where you put your thumbs in and they're still separated. So I really love this design because all you have to do is you just unhook it from your oven handle, slip your hands in, and then it's really easy to bring things out of the oven. So this is a really simple project and really budget friendly, great for a handmade gift. All you're going to need for materials today is some fabric. Now this is the fabric I'm going to be using, and it's a little bit thicker, so home decor weight. Home decor weight usually comes in widths of 54 inches. And you're also going to need some ironing board fabric like this. And you can pick this up in the utility fabric section of any fabric store. So I got this from joanne.com. You can probably find it at any of your local fabric stores. And you won't need much because the finished size of this mitt is 7 by 31 inches. So that's 7 inches wide by 31 inches long. And we're gonna cut it at 8 inches by 32 inches long. So you'll just need one piece of the ironing board fabric for the back, and then one piece for the front, and then a couple of pieces for the hand section on either end. And the other thing we're going to need is this cotton twill tape. So this is what it looks like when you buy it. And it's just a woven cotton twill tape, exactly how it's described. People use these as apron strings a lot, so you can buy it by the yard or buy it on a roll. I think I got this online, and it's very, very versatile. You can use it, as I said, as apron strings. You can use it for binding that we're doing right now, so this is going to go on the edge of the mitt like that. I really recommend keeping a roll in your sewing kit because you never know when you're going to need it. It also makes great little, you know, if you sew it in the edge of something, it makes a great little hook. I've used it on tea towels. It's just great for everything. So let's get to it. All we are going to do is we are going to cut the first piece 8 inches wide by 32 inches long. Okay, so all I have done right now is I have lined up my fabric at the bottom and the ironing board fabric on top, and I have literally just marked the rectangle that we're going to cut. So the length is 32 long by 8 inches wide, and if you have an electric cutter, this would be a great time to use it because cutting through thick fabric like this can be brutal on your hands. Luckily I have one, so I'll show you how it works. So now we have our two pieces cut, and now it's as simple as stitching it all together. But first we have to do the two end pieces for our hands. So this is what we're going to do. Now my sample here only has the ironing board fabric on the side that is going to catch the heat. The other side on the back of my hand is just plain fabric. So it is up to you. If you have leftover fabric from your ironing board material, you are more than welcome to put this on the hand side as well. I have a couple of extra pieces, so I'm gonna put those in, but if you don't have any extra fabric, no worries at all. All you're gonna do to make this part is you're gonna cut two squares 8 inches by 8 inches. 8 inches, inches. And of course, if you're cutting two of anything, you just want to fold the fabric right sides together, and that way you can cut them both at the same time. This is a real working sewing studio, by the way. It's not a YouTube studio. Okay. Cut this in half. Okay, so now I have 2 squares. So once you've cut your 2 squares of fabric, all you're going to do is you are going to hem one edge, one side of the square. And this is going to be for this part here. So this little part here where your hand goes in, this is what we're hemming. So, you know, you might want to match the direction of your fabric. In my case, the arrows are going up and down. So the part I am going to hem, if I lay this on top, is going to be this side with the arrows going up and down. If you want to do a contrasting format, that would look great too. In that case, I would like put it this way. If you have contrasting fabric, that would anyway would look fabulous, so it's up to you. But let's hem the side right now. Now, we have our 2 squares that have been hemmed up, and as I mentioned before, I had a little bit of ironing board fabric left over, so I just put it on the back of my squares for a little bit extra protection, but that's completely optional. So putting it all together now, because we're not going to turn this inside out and do a top stitch, we are just going to lie it in layers exactly how it appears. So you are going to put down first your ironing board piece of fabric face down. So this is the front side, so we're going to put this down like this, and then face up we're going to put our regular piece of fabric just on top. So it's going to look like that underneath and this on top, and then we are going to place our 2 hand holder squares on top of this. So line up the edges like this. I'm just going to pin it so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. We're going to sandwich it all together, and on the other side. Okay, so here is our hand holder part, and same on the other side. And now all we're going to do is we are just going to cut a round shape around the corners, so to make it nice and round. Again, probably optional. This is my sample. It's a little bit more round than just the corners, so it's up to you. I'm just going to round the corners off a little bit, but you can also keep them square if you want. I personally think the rounded corners would look better and be easier when we sew the binding around. So let's just do that real quick. I'm going to use my electric cutter because this is now 4 layers, so hold tight. Okay, so I've just rounded off my corners. I kept them pretty square, but just rounded them off so that the binding can go on easily. And all we're going to do to put the binding on is we are going to leave about 1 or 2 inches from the end, and that's where we're going to start sewing. So I recommend starting somewhere in the middle, because if you start on the corner or on the edge, it's a little bit tricky to join the binding at the end and finish it off. But if you start somewhere in the middle, maybe along a seam, it will be much easier to join the binding at the end and make it look more seamless. So 2 inches in, I am just going to pin this right where the edge of the hand part meets the edge of the mitt. So it can definitely be a little bit tricky putting binding on, but I'm going to show you how to make it really easy. All we're going to do is we are going to start a couple of inches in like this. So this is the end here. And you are just going to pin one edge to the top of the edge of the mitt. And we are just going to stitch right along this top edge like this all the way around. I leave the binding on the roll as I stitch around, so I don't measure and cut beforehand, but if you like to measure and cut beforehand, by all means do. Just be sure to leave a couple of inches longer, because I'm going to show you how to stitch it all together and make it look pretty seamless. So let's get to it. Okay, so now you have sewn around the first edge of the binding, and here we have the end parts which are going to overlap. So what we're going to do is we are going to sew these together at an angle. I'll pin it so you can see, and then we're going to flip it up like this and sew back underneath. So the trick is really knowing exactly where to stitch so that the end of the stitch sits really nice on the edge here. And then we are just gonna snip off the excess, turn it over and stitch it back around. So after I joined this part at the end, I am just gonna stitch this down now to finish it off. So, after you've done your first round of stitching down the binding, like this, and you have a nice join here you can be proud of, we are just going to flip it over just like this. And we are going to now stitch the other side down. So one side is going to have a seamed edge, I guess. The other side is going to have a bit of a raw edge. If you get wide enough kitchen tape, cotton tape, you might be able to tuck it in to get rid of that raw edge on the other side. I don't think I'm going to do that for mine today. It's going to take too long, so I'm just going to stitch it down as is, and that'll look just as good. So let's do it. And we are done! Check out my brand new oven mitts. I hope you really enjoyed the tutorial today, and I would really love to see how yours turn out. So please also subscribe to my channel for more videos coming soon. Thanks for watching.